Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this week, and what a week it has been. Holy banana bread, guys. We are in December. It's here. Craziness, all of that fun stuff that happens around the holidays. It's all begun. It is all begun. Those of you who missed it this morning, we had our first financial Vlogmas. It was this morning at gosh, what time was it? It was probably about 9 in the morning Eastern. So it was pretty darn early. But these ones, I have no idea what time they're going to be starting. So most of you will probably be catching it on the replay. But there was a handful of you. There was a handful of you that were up and about at that time. So that is absolutely fantastic. Loved it. This month is going to be crazy. And you know, our biggest month in the history of the channel was October. We did great. You guys pulled together. I got the content out. We did a really good job. Well, I'm challenging us all. Let's see if we can actually blow up October. Let's blow it up. We'll blow it up, and we'll see what we can do in that month. I think December is going to be absolutely crazy. I know I probably, quite literally, I probably won't get to rest until January. So I'm ready. I'm absolutely ready. So this is a huge show because it is the first of the month. That means I've got channel memberships to give away. So we're going to give away probably 10, maybe 11, who knows. But those will be dropping today throughout the show. In addition to that, I'm also opening up the subscriber-sponsored video. So if you have an ETF or a company that you want me to deep dive, that, you know, whatever happened, for some reason, it just never wins the vote, today is your time to do it. Basically, the way that works, $20 super chat or a super sticker, will get you, actually do it as a super chat because then you can actually write the company in. The only rules I have with this is no penny stocks, and the stock needs to have been around for at least 1 year. Because otherwise, I just don't have a lot of data. We had a penny stock that slipped through on one of these once, and it was also a new stock. That was the hardest deep dive I've ever done, only because I didn't have the data. But, yeah, I think it's going to be cool. All right. Now, if this month can't get any crazier, I am going to throw the offer up as well. If you guys want a market close tomorrow for supers, and that will happen. And by the way, if somebody does the subscriber-sponsored video, that does count as one of them. So there we go. I think that's most of... Oh, one other thing before we get going. Holy banana bread. This is, like I said, this show is packed. So the mod, our moderator on the channel, JJ wants to take part in our contest that's coming up. So the contest is on our 5,000 celebration video. We are going to, well, holy banana bread, we're going to have a giveaway. So I'm going to be asking you guys questions. Normally it goes the other way around. So I'm going to, through that stream, I'm going to ask a bunch of easy, I'm going to say easy, none of them are going to be hard. They're going to be all very easy finance questions, and we'll keep a tally of who gets them right, and whoever gets the most right is going to win a 1 hour one-on-one with me. You know, we can do Zoom, we can do whatever you want. You get an hour. You want me to look at your portfolio, we'll do that. You want me to show you or teach you something, we'll do that. We'll do whatever. Whoever wins, I'll work it out. Now, whoever comes in second is also going to get a subscriber-sponsored video for free. They're not going to have to pay. Now, speaking of the subscriber-sponsored video, holy banana bread, Paul did not wait at all. It's like, I feel like this was planned, but we now have it. MicroStrategy is getting that deep dive. I believe this video is scheduled for roughly the middle of December. Might be the 13th. I'd have to check the schedule. But yeah, thank you very much, Paul. We have MicroStrategy. They're going to get the deep dive treatment. And I'll tell you, this is going to be a good one. This will really, really be a good one because not only is it going to touch on MicroStrategy, it's going to touch on the convertible bonds that they've been doing. It'll also, of course, touch on Bitcoin. You can't talk about MicroStrategy without bringing Bitcoin into the mix. So yeah, this is going to, oh boy, I cannot think of a better one. I cannot think of a better one, Paul. That's an awesome one. Definitely an awesome one. All right, now Paul is giving to the channel. How about the channel gives to you guys? Let's get that first free membership out of the way. And just give me a second here. We're gonna jump in. We're gonna go bang, boom, and here it's gonna come here in just a second. All right, it's processing. We'll see who wins. I can't wait. I can't wait. Our first winner of the day is Jonathan. Jonathan Montgomery. You're on time to win. You're on time to win. So that's absolutely fantastic. And guys, stick around. We're going to be giving away these throughout the show. So we got a lot going on. We also got news. We got the news. That's in there too. So we have a whole bunch of stuff going on. Before we go any further though, we gotta hit up the chat. We got to hit the chat. You guys are just dropping stuff here left, right, and center. All right. And speaking of a winner, here he is. Jonathan was in first. Not late this morning, not late now. And Jonathan was one of those who was at the live stream this morning. I was like, whoa, wow. And I gave no notice on when that was going to be, but fantastic. Jersky is in the house. Hello, just feeding cows and plowing snow. Waiting for the show. We actually had snow here today, by the way. It's funny, this morning when I was doing the live stream, no snow, nothing. Because if it had been snowing like it was this morning, I would have been outside doing that live stream because I want to do one with snow hitting me in the head. From the sky. I don't want to give Jill ideas. She could be standing off to the side, just throwing snowballs at me. That's not what I want, but you know what I mean. Benny says, Candace is in the house. Yeah, absolutely. Bismarcky says, happy Sunday, everyone. We have Nice. Hey, Nice, good to see you. Always love to see some of my European friends. Jay is in the house with a hi. And we got a happy Sunday from Paul. And Biscuit says, I'm subscribed to a dozen finance channels, and I look forward to this one the most. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Biscuit. I try to have fun. I know there's a lot of finance channels out there that they treat it like finance. I treat it like finance, but I try to make it fun. There's a lot of boring finance channels out there, I will definitely admit. There's good ones too. There's definitely good ones, but there's a lot of boring ones. Prairie says, just a good afternoon, community. Great week. Even better this Sunday afternoon with Candace. And this week, there we go. Absolutely. Terry Crow says, eggnog and seafood chowder plus hello crew. That sounds like a pretty good combination, Terry. Ooh, gotta love the eggnog and gotta love the seafood chowder. Because I'm from Nova Scotia, so I have a big appreciation for the everything seafood for sure. Oh, we got King of Day in the house. Hello, all, says King of Day. Always good to see you, my friend. Funny Books is in here with a hello. Sorry I missed your stream this morning, Candace. Went grocery shopping. No, you know what? If you're going to grocery shop on Sunday, you want to do it early in the morning because the afternoon, you're talking about a madhouse. Always a madhouse, for sure. All right. Was your tree real or artificial? The one your cat tried to eat. It's an artificial tree. It is an artificial tree, absolutely. I have not had a real tree for a long time. Like quite literally, I think the last time I had a real Christmas tree was probably when I was a teenager. So yeah, it's been a very long time. But yeah, I remember when I was a kid, we used to actually go out and we would cut it down. And that was always fun. That was always fun. All right. Jonathan, probably for the winning. 9 says, what's up? Jungle says, I have the video on the TV and the chat on the phone. Oh boy, there we go. King of Day says, a snow angel yesterday in my neighborhood, amazing guy. Very interesting. Very interesting. I gotta love snow angels. Gotta love snow angels for sure. Mario says, good afternoon. Well, hello there, Mario. I am, like I said, I'm actually loving this day. Oh, by the way, I did try something today. I dropped a copy of the schedule as on the community tab. Now, mind you, it'll get buried really fast because I can't pin anything there, but I did drop it there. You can also get a copy of the schedule over on Discord or on Facebook groups. We have a Facebook group page as well. So I do keep it updated both places. I like to be predictable. I like to be predictable. All right. Speaking of predictable, let's actually get to a news story. That's a part of what we're here for. All right. So our first news story. So the Canadian, our GDP, it did drop yesterday. The day before yesterday, Friday. So that was the Q3 GDP. It was released, and our economy, believe it or not, our economy managed to eke out a 1% increase. So this is actually a slowdown. Q2, we came in at 2.2% in Q2. So it has dropped a wee bit for sure. Now the Bank of Canada, now this is interesting. They actually had anticipated our GDP coming in at 1.5%. So that's a good indication that the economy is perhaps a little bit worse than what the Bank of Canada seems to think it is. So, yeah, what can we say? There were some spending increases, of course. Now, increases in consumer spending when it comes to trucks, vans, and SUV sales. So I guess people were buying wheels last month. We also saw government spending up. When do we not see government spending up? Really? They're always spending money. Oh, dear. Now, we did have some decreases as well. They showed up in basically slower accumulations for business inventories and also investment in machinery and equipment. So those are the type of things that actually impact productivity. So not a good thing at all. Now, one interesting thing that was in this report is that disposable income rose for Canadians by 2.3%. So basically, disposable income, for those of you who don't know, that's basically the income that's left after taxes and you pay all of your regular, your regular stuff like mortgage and stuff like that. So that's basically what you have left over. So it's good to see that that's going up, that's for sure. Now, even though GDP is going up, we got a problem. We do have a problem. There's this thing called real GDP per capita, which is basically like your own personal GDP. And for Canadians, it was down in Q3 by 0.4%. So this here is the sixth straight quarter that our real GDP per capita has been going down. And I know we got that recession word out there, and a lot of people are saying, GDP, it's kind of inflated with immigration and things like that. It's not a true indication of whether we're in a recession or not. And some people think we should be using the real GDP per capita. Because if that was the metric, then by golly, we're in a recession for sure. So that's not super great. But what can I say? I would love to see that turn around a little bit, but it's going to be interesting. Now, they are expecting, they're expecting basically as they're expecting it to rise. They actually do expect it to rise in September and October as well. But right now for the quarter, it's not doing well. Rate cuts may help. So we'll have to see. I think our next quarterly report, which we won't get until the new year, it could be interesting. It could be very, very interesting. Now, what does this, of course, all translate into? When we look at the Bank of Canada, so they're looking at a rate cut, of course, coming up here not that long, December 11th. And for the longest time, we all expected another 50 basis point cut. But then inflation started to rear its head again. And that sort of pushed it back to a 25 basis point cut. This data does put a bit more pressure on to maybe move it back up to 50. We'll still have to see. Our next story is going to sort of show us that we got another stimulus that's trying to push it back down as well. So I'm still thinking it's going to be 25, but there is a realistic chance that we could get back to that 50 basis points again. So we'll have to see as things move along, of course. All right. Mohammed's in the house. Hi, Candace. Trump threatened BRICS with 100% tariffs if they challenge the US dollar. Can this crash the market or make it volatile? I'm on around 70% cash waiting for a dip. Okay, so yes, I heard about this. So my understanding with this threat is that if you're currently buying stuff with US dollars, whether it be oil or any other commodities, if you switch to any other currency outside of the US, Trump is going to hit you with a 100% tariff. That's basically what he said, but he didn't really give a lot of details on it. Now that could very well sort of make a few countries think twice before switching to, let's say, like a Chinese currency or maybe the ruble. Who knows? That will definitely impact. Now, what that will do is, one, if this goes through and it does prevent countries from switching, well, that does add a little bit more stability to the US dollar. So that actually could be a good thing in that sense. But he's not in office yet. We really have to see what this is all going to boil down to. Because as you know, he's using tariffs like crazy. He's using them as a way to sort of get what he's trying to accomplish, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. We do have a story, of course, on tariffs, but I heard that, and I'd like to hear more information before we can really tell. I don't think at this point it's something that's going to crash the market on us. So it could actually work in our favor. It could. We have to see the details, though, to really get an idea whether or not that's going to be the case. Alberto is in the house with a hi, everyone. Jay says, let's see, the real economy will soon show its true colors when banks cut credit card limits on those delinquent payers. That could be interesting. That could be very, very interesting. And here's the thing, though. Let me put this out there. If you're not able, so let's say you have a credit card and you've got a $5,000 limit. I'm just using 5,000 because it's a simple number. But let's say you can't, you're having trouble paying it. You're always going over the 5,000. Is it fair for that bank to sort of come back and say, look, you know what? You kind of demonstrated you can't handle 5,000. We're gonna bring it back to 4,000. Is that fair? Should banks do that? Would they actually be helping the consumer? If the consumer really can't handle a $5,000 limit, should they have it? It's not like I've seen a lot of people get wrecked because they get really big limits. It's like, oh, you're doing so well. Let's increase your credit limit, and then of course that person who was in debt and barely scraping by has an extra 1,000, maybe an extra 5,000, who knows? They go up to that limit, and all of a sudden they're paying a lot more interest. Their interest rate is the same, but because they're having a higher balance, it starts to eat up things. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. I think we have a story on debt as well coming up. So that's going to be, you guys are asking all the right questions today. All right. Alberto says, buy U.S. stocks because the dollar is going up. Yeah, I mean, you got to look at it. There's a couple of things that you have to look at. It makes sense if you are, if you're investing in U.S. stocks as well as your Canadian stocks. Some of the things that make sense to do is, one, hold a U.S. account. So, for example, if you have Wealthsimple, you can have their U.S. account. If you have National Bank, you can set up U.S. accounts. So, U.S. account for everything like a U.S. TFSA, U.S. RRSP, all of that. And The reason I say that is you don't want to be converting money back and forth. So when you buy in a US stock and you're holding it in a Canadian account, every time you're buying, you're paying conversion fees and all of that, all of the fees, and plus the exchange rate. And you don't want to be doing that. So, like let's say, for example, you're holding a company, a US company A, and you say, oh, I'd rather have US company B. If you are holding that in a Canadian account, you're getting hit with the exchange rate both directions. You're getting hit with all kinds of currency fees. So if you hold an American account, so like a US TFSA, for example, when you sell it, it then sits there in US dollars, so that when you buy it, you're buying it with US dollars. There's no conversion fees. There's no exchange that you're dealing with. So it does make sense to do it that way when you're looking at an account like that. All right, guys, before we get to the next one, let's drop another membership. Give me a second here. We're going to grab this, hit boom, bang, boom. All right, it's processing. It's processing. All right, we should have it coming up here in a moment. And VLG has won. Congratulations, VLG. Always good. I love it when I do see a name that I recognize. So I know VLG is a avid contributor to the channel, so that's always fun. All right. Let's see. Alberto says, what about sell your US dollar and buy Canadian stock? Yeah, when the Canadian dollar is low, if you sell your US stock and then exchange it back, you're definitely going to get more Canadian money than normal. Keep in mind, you may have conversion fees and things like that as well, so you want to keep that into consideration with your math. But yeah, you could certainly do that. I personally wouldn't, only simply because by the time you convert things back and forth and you sort of juggle things like that, I don't think you're going to make a significant amount. You might make some. You might mathematically be ahead of the game, but I'm not sure if I would consider it. I would consider it like a giant drawing point at this point. Prairie says, let's see, I'm continually offered a credit card limit increase. I keep turning it down. Yeah, exactly. Now, the only good thing is, but you have to be disciplined. So if you are, let's say you have a credit card and you're doing well with it, one thing that a credit increase can do is it can be good for your utility. So your utilization. So the more space you have on your card that you're not using is better for your credit rating. So if you are, let's say you are somebody and you tend to run a balance of about $4,000, and let's say you have a $6,000 card and they offer you $1,000 limit, if you can take that $1,000 but not all of a sudden say, well, okay, I get an extra $1,000 and maybe I'll run a $5,000 balance instead. Don't do that. If you can still maintain your $4,000 balance, even though you've got some extra room, that will improve your credit rating. So that's one thing just to keep in mind when it comes to credit. Credit. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. From U.S. dividends. Yeah, so if you have a U.S. dividend stock, what ends up happening is if you're holding it in a Canadian account, what ends up happening is those U.S. dividends then get converted to Canadian, all of that fun stuff. So once again, if you're holding it in a U.S. account, you don't have to worry about it. It all drops in as U.S. dividends, which is really, really good. Let's see. Leandro says you can also do Norbit's Gambit to convert the money. Yeah, absolutely. So Questrade and a National Bank. Those are the two I know of that you can do Norbit's Gambit on. And I usually will say if you're going to do it with Questrade, there's a great video Canadian in a T-shirt has for the Norbit's Gambit. So, that's an option for you as well. All right. And 9 is praying again. 9, you pray a lot. You pray a lot. Praying to win, of course. All right. Lisa is in the house with a hi, everyone. All right. Now we have more stories. Let's pull up our next story. So part of the goal with excuse me. So part of the goal with, of course, the aggressive rate cuts that the Bank of Canada has had has been to stimulate a lagging economy, because that's kind of what we're seeing. This GDP that we talked about a moment ago, that certainly backs up the fact that our economy is lagging quite a bit. Only growing 1%. That's not a lot. That's not a lot. Now, the government, of course, has come out with this GST holiday. And they also proposed $250 rebate that they want to give to anybody who's making less than $150,000 a year, provided you're working. That's kind of the one key thing. So, you have to have paid into Canada Pension, or there's a couple of other little qualifiers in there. So, what is kind of interesting about that is that pumping this money into the economy is going to, well, it's going to have the effect of stimulating the economy. And if the government starts stimulating the economy, the Bank of Canada can look at that and say, oh, there's not really as much of a need for us to stimulate the economy. So it can mean that they can pull back a little bit on the rate cuts. Maybe, and this wouldn't be until the spring, they could even look at perhaps having a pause. So that's kind of an interesting thing, because between the rebate and this holiday, it is expected to pump about $6 billion into our GDP, and that, or into the economy. That actually equals 0.2% of our GDP. So that's kind of an interesting thing right there. Now, this free money, as you guys know, when you print money, it leads to inflation. It leads to inflation. So it could potentially cause a small spike in inflation, and that would once again give the Bank of Canada more of a pause to say, hey, let's cut back on what we're doing here. Let's cut back on these rate cuts. So that's not a good thing. I don't think this is a good plan. Now, what's really interesting though is the government, the NDP actually said, we'll support the GST holiday, but we won't support the rebate in the form that it's in right now. So the GST holiday, that's already gone through the House of Commons, and the Liberals and the NDP voted it through. Interestingly enough, also the Green Party voted for it, whereas the Conservatives, the Bloc Québécois, and some of the independents voted against it. But it still passed, so it's off to the Senate to get to go through that process. So it does look like that's going to happen. Now, this $250 check that Trudeau wants to give to folks, what the NDP wants is they want other groups of people included. So, for example, they want seniors and people on disabilities included, and that makes sense. I would say, I mean, if you're gonna do it, I would say include those people, but maybe knock the 150,000 down a bit, maybe down to 100,000. Maybe down to 90,000, to make sure the lower income people are getting it. But now keep in mind, once this comes out, we're probably really close to an election. So it does kind of feel like a vote grab, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see how this is going to go. The other big thing too is the U.S. Fed right now is signaling that they can be a little bit lighter on the rate cuts, and they even have, like, the American economy is strong enough that they can pause if they really want to. So that does become another issue that works into this whole rate cut thing. We do have a buffer, and this is what Tiff Macklem was talking about right from the beginning. But we're getting really, really close to stepping outside of that buffer. And with the Canadian economy the way it is, we're probably going to have to move further out of that buffer. And that could impact our dollar price for sure. So that's just something to keep in mind. All right, here we go. Mohammed says, I did the Norbid Gambit with RBC. Okay, there we go. RBC as well. I did not know that. Roku says, afternoon, everyone. Mohammed says, I wish I was making less than 150K so I can receive the $250 from Trudeau. Oh gosh, Mohammed. That's not a problem that I think most people would. I think most people would be envious of your problem for sure. Jungle says my credit card concern is late payment because no bills due to mail strike. Yeah, yeah, that's kind of interesting. Actually, our next story is about the postal strike, but yeah, that is a concern. If you're in that boat, I would highly recommend, you know, going online, getting your bills online if you can do that, because, you don't want to be paying late payments. You just don't want to be doing it. All right. A nine says stimulus without a crisis is not a good idea, I think. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. I mean, I understand. I fully understand why they did it during the pandemic. Um, it wasn't well thought out. And I think the initial part they can be forgiven for sure, like the initial CERB. But once we were a year into it and they were changing up a lot of these supports, I think they could have probably tightened it better than they did. But what can we do? What can we do? Michael says, as I mentioned last week, are hardworking Canadians that happen to earn more than 150 not worthy of Trudeau's gift? Yeah, it depends on how you're looking at it too, though, right? If you're looking at, I think in this case here, what Trudeau is basically trying to do, and I think the reason that we're looking at that 150 is he's really trying to hit home with the middle class. Um, I like what I do like with the GST, at least that there is everybody is pretty much getting it. Although I will tell you, the GST is going to be a nightmare for a lot of retailers. So there's a lot of retailers who are saying, please don't do it, because they have to manually enter a lot of these price changes for a lot of the products in their store, because where they're very specific on which toys, for example, get the exemption and which ones don't, it makes it very, very difficult. And then they're going to have to do that on the back end as well. So some of them have been reaching out and saying, hey, are you going to pay us all the money it's going to take? You're going to pay us some money to do this, because it's going to take a lot of extra manpower to get it done. So yeah, we have to see. We have to see. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, it is kind of difficult, I guess, we have to draw a line. Like if you're giving away free money, obviously if somebody's making $1 million, they probably don't need $250. But that's the thing. That's the thing. It's hard to say. It's hard to say to put it in there. Like, I don't think that he should be giving away money to anybody when it comes to that 250. Like, I'm just sort of thinking, if you want to give people a break, maybe delay the next increase in the gas tax, the carbon tax, gas tax. Well, it's like a gas tax, isn't it? Missy is in the house with a hello. Hello, Missy. How are you? Let's see. More reason to own physical gold. The West is becoming the next Zimbabwe. Well, it never hurts. I mean, physical gold, physical silver. These are definitely some good things. Bitcoin as well. Bitcoin as well is starting to be a really interesting asset to watch for sure. Prairie says, I'd be willing to pay $250 if it meant getting JT and the Liberals out of office. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. You won't have to wait long, though. That's the thing. Like, I have a feeling like I've said spring. I said spring. Now, mind you, I don't know if they were given it or not, but I know that the Conservatives had put in a request for opposition days this week coming up. So you're probably going to see another vote in non-confidence this week, but I have a feeling that the NDP are still going to protect the Liberals through that. So I think the spring is still our most reasonable or most logical place where we'll end up seeing an election. And Jungle says, I would rather earn 150,000. There we go. There we go. Why don't they raise the RRSP withdrawal to 200,000? And that's the thing. There's other alternate things that they could be doing for sure. I don't know. It's kind of funny. I'll just be glad. Honestly, I'll be glad to see a change of government, see what we have next. I'm actually looking forward to the election. because I'd love to see what the platforms are and everything before I make up my mind. But I'm hoping the Liberals decide to change a leader before then, but I don't think they will. It's looking like it's Justin Trudeau all the way. The cost of homes are real high and help first-time home buyers. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Well, we got this. We have the first home savings plan, but you still have to have the money to put in it, right? And if you're looking at a lot of people who are fresh to the workforce, having that money to actually load into the account it's probably not that reasonable, to be honest. Let's see. They're just use a flat tax for GST. Yeah, that's an option as well. Leandro says, I will take my $250 repay check and donate it to the Conservatives. Okay. Oh, gosh. I have to have a cup of coffee. I need some coffee after. That's funny. All right. And 9 says, they should have increased the TFSA limit more rather than the stimulus. Yeah, absolutely. I would have loved it. That would have been a good one. The problem is, though, when you look at a lot of the lower class, and I hate that word. I actually hate the word lower class. But when you look at people who are making less money, a lot of them don't. They're not investing. They just don't have the funds. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're probably not putting money into a stock or an ETF for that matter. Bismarcky says XRP is on fire. Oh yeah, the XRP was doing insane on Friday. Yeah, absolutely. Now keep in mind, one of the big concerns with XRP has been this whole thing with the SEC. And now that Gensler has, he is quitting before Trump gets sworn in, and Trump is going to put a new person in who is crypto friendly. So that's going to be pretty good, I think, for Bitcoin, especially for XRP as well. So not too shabby. All right. Let's see. Not really free money, simply getting back some of our hard-earned tax money. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if somebody gives you back if the government gives everybody $250, you got inflation that's going to come from that. Nothing is free. Nothing is ever free. There's always strings attached, for sure. Vaughn is in the house with a good day all. Let's see. Alberta says, yes, raise the TFSA to $50,000 a year. Well, that'll never happen. That'll never happen. $7,000 right now. So that's what we're getting in January 1st. We're getting $7,000. I wouldn't mind just to see a 1 year. Just give us 1 year with it, like maybe 10,000. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. All right. Mary is in the house, guys. That means it's time to hit that like button. We're sitting at 29. We'll start off easy. Let's get it to 30. And that'll keep Mary happy. It'll keep me happy too. But yeah, let's do that. I'm going to have some coffee while whoever you are, number 30, while you're clicking away. Ah, that's so good. Oh, come on, 30. I know when you do it. Let's hit it. Let's hit it. VLG, late joining today and just saw I won a membership. Thanks, Candace. Well, you're welcome. Speaking of winning a membership, holy banana bread, I think somebody else is about to win one. Let's see. Who is it gonna be? Larry. Larry has won a channel membership. Awesome. All right. Vaughn says, what percent of crypto should be in a portfolio for a retiree? That's a good question. Now, you will hear a lot of different answers. There are people out there that are very pro-crypto that will probably say, you should put everything in crypto. Look at what Bitcoin is doing. I still think that's very risky. So I would definitely say that's not the answer. You have to sort of treat it like, this is what I think. I think you should treat it like any other asset class. So maybe you want to keep 5%. Maybe you want to be a little more on the risky side and keep a 10% on there. But it really boils down to you. For one, it boils down to how much confidence you have in crypto. It also boils down to what you're going to do. So, for example, I think Bitcoin is going to go up. I think it's going to go up to, I'm thinking 120, and there's a lot of people out there will give you higher numbers. But I am thinking in the second half of the year, we're going to go back into a crypto winter, which means it's going to go down. So that's kind of that whole thing with Bitcoin, is that as an investor, like right now in the 0 to 100K challenge, I've got a spot Bitcoin ETF that I'm using. So BTCC.B. Once Bitcoin is up at that high and it looks like we're starting to move into crypto winter, I'm selling out of it. I will sell out and I will wait for wherever Bitcoin goes down to for that low. So maybe if we're at 120, maybe Bitcoin goes all the way down to 70 in the crypto winter. And that's fine. I'll buy it all back in at 70K. And then, it'll of course slowly move back up. So understanding the way that crypto moves, understanding the patterns that Bitcoin makes, that becomes kind of huge. And that, in a way, would work into the answer if you understand it and if you are attentive, and you don't mind playing that game, then you're going to go for a higher percentage. But if you're not, if you're more or less saying, look, you know what, I just want some exposure. I don't want to have to worry about the ups and downs. I just want to hold it long term through my retirement. Then in that case, I would say maybe 5%. It really boils down to your own individual approach to it. All right, let's see here. A 9 says, my TFSA limit will be 11K in 2025 because I pull some income out. Yeah, absolutely. So guys, when you pull income out of your TFSA, you get that back. You get that space back January 1st every year. So if you are ever in a position where you're thinking, okay, I'm going to pull some money out of my TFSA, obviously the best time to do it would be December because you'll get that space back right away as soon as January 1st hits. But always keep that in mind. You do get your space back. So if, for example, let's say in your TFSA, you are, you've got it set up as an income TFSA, and let's say you're pulling out, let's say you're doing really well, and you're pulling out like $300 a month in dividends. Well, that $300, when you pull it out, that's contribution room that you're going to get back at January 1st. So even though you're growing by $300 every month with those dividends, you're pulling them out. So you're technically not growing, but you get all of that back. So, after a year, that's like $3,600 of extra space that you would get back. So that's why you want to keep track of that. Because I will tell you right now, the CRA is really bad. They're really, really bad at keeping track of your of what your contribution space is. So I highly recommend that, once you know what your space is, just keep a track. Keep your own little spreadsheet or something if you need to. That way there, you don't get into a situation where you start, going over or anything like that. And, and everybody here can attest. If you look at the CRA, if you've never used your TFSA before, and then you go in and look at the CRA, it's probably going to be fairly accurate. Although, if you looked at it in January, it probably won't reflect the extra 7,000. But yeah, it's always keep track. Do your own accounting. It really, really, it's always important. It's important. Like, especially if you have a situation, and I've heard of this before, where somebody has been getting all kinds of dividends that they're pulling out and they're living off the dividends out of their TFSA. And then they get into the situation where they got more money and they want to put it in. They don't think they don't realize they have all of that extra space, from their dividends that they pulled out the previous year. So yeah, it's really important to keep track of that. All right. Prairie says, number 5 was me again. Yeah, I mean, you guys totally exploded it up to 35. I am happy. Let's see, probably Vaughn. All right. Congrats, Larry. All right. Buy a lot when it's going up, then sale. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And here's the thing, though. When we're in that crypto winter, that's when you really want to be buying and adding to your Bitcoin, because it is going to go up. Like you take the last time. So we had Bitcoin back in November of 2001. It was up around, I think it made it up to about 66,000. Then, very quickly, we went from 66,000, we went into crypto winter, and less than a month, we were pretty much down around 20,000, and we even wicked down below that. But imagine if you started buying at the 20,000 mark, back in the last crypto winter, and this is just a couple of years ago. All of that, all of those $20,000 Bitcoins you are buying right now are almost worth 100,000. So there is a lot of money to make there, but you have to sort of understand the cycle, the way it works. And this is the funny thing. When Bitcoin fell into crypto winter last time, a lot of people were like, it's just going to go to zero. I'm not buying. Those people didn't buy at 20,000 because they thought it was going to zero. They basically waited. By the time it was all of a sudden back up around 40,000, people were started saying, oh, wait a minute. It's doing good again. Bitcoin's good again. And of course, that they already lost. They already lost a chance to double their money, already gone off the table. I mean, if they get in at 40,000, they have already doubled that money, but they, you would have been doubling a double, so a quadruple at that point if they would have just, realized or, not give in to some of the emotions that are involved around something, especially something as volatile as Bitcoin. There's a ton of emotions, so it's going to happen again, and and here's the other big thing too. If you happen to be buying now, between now and 100 and when it gets to 120K, well, there's a good chance that you could get caught at that amount and it can start falling. If it falls below, all of a sudden you're in the red and you're heading into that winter, you got a couple of choices. One, you can take a crazy loss, and that's not a great option. Or two, you can ride it out. It will come back, and it will come back big. But, it might mean that whatever you've got tied up in Bitcoin, it's going to be tied up there for a couple of years while you're waiting for the market to come back. But the beautiful thing is, when you do get into that crypto winter, you can buy more, and that will, of course, lower that adjusted cost base, so you're back in the green faster. But yeah, that's just kind of the way Bitcoin works, though. But it's amazing. So many people who know how Bitcoin works, when it starts happening, they panic. So many people panic, and so many people get wrecked because they just can't keep their emotions in check. All right. Let's see here. Where was I at? Right here. So Prairie says, it took the CRA more than 6 months from April to log all of my 2023 TFSA contributions. Ooh, boy. Yeah. That's hilarious. But yeah, it does take them time. I mean, they do eventually do it. But, if you go in right after your taxes, you would think that if they've done your assessments, you'd think that you would have your more accurate information, but not necessarily. Sometimes they're really, really, really slow. Sentence says, let's see, I should have done it. I will be ready next time. There we go. There we go. Absolutely. Bismarcky says, I have some crypto on Wealth If I sell, I'll have to pay tax. Yes. If you're in the green, it's capital gains. So, that's that thing. If you buy Bitcoin at 20K and you sell it at 100K, well, guess what? You have grown it by 80K. So that means you're going to pay tax on 40K. That's capital gains. So in other words, 40K would count as income. That will happen. That will absolutely happen. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. There's no loopholes or anything like that at all. You just gotta pay it. I mean, you've made all of this money, but it's not a bad problem to have. I'd rather have that problem than have it not working out well. All right. And JJ is in the house. Speaking of JJ, we've got a poll going on right now um, as to whether or not JJ can take part in the contest that we're going to hold for the 50,000 subs. I was going to say 50,000. Yeah, there we go. 5,000 subs. Right now, the yeses are winning 50%. 32% said no way. And 18% just wanted to get the poll out of the way. Absolutely. Not a problem. So far, it looks like JJ may be allowed to try his luck. All right. And let's see. Larry is in the house with a I am he. There we go. And Larry did win a membership earlier today. So those are coming along pretty good. Let's do one more. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Bang, boom. We're gonna drop it in. All right, we'll have another winner here in just a second. And let's see who wins. Living on Cash. Living on Cash has won a free membership. Congratulations, Living on Cash. Awesome. So now, just to update everybody who hasn't been here the whole time, we did the subscriber sponsorship video. We opened that up earlier in the show. It was taken immediately by Paul. So that's going to be MicroStrategy is going to get that deep dive. We also, 4 subs, and we are doing a market close tomorrow. So that is also up. We got the 1 so far. So that is an option as well. And of course, the whole JJ thing. And that 5,000, by the way, guys, at 5,000 subs, and we're 30 away. We're 30 away from that. So we're really, really darn close. We're going to do an extra live stream probably soon. And we're going to do a contest. Now, the contest will be me asking you guys questions. We're turning the tables. I will be asking you guys very easy, very, very easy finance questions. And we'll keep track of who's getting them right, and whoever gets the most right. First place prize is going to be an hour of my time. So me and you on Zoom or whatever platform you want, or even on the old phone. It doesn't matter. And we'll do whatever you want. You want me to look at your portfolio? Sure. You want me to help you with whatever you want me to help you with? I don't care. Or heck, maybe you just want to have a conversation for an hour. That's all up to you. You get to win you get to decide what to do because you're the winner, whoever it is. Second place will be another subscriber-sponsored video, but they won't have to pay anything for it. So that's kind of a consolation prize because there's no way you can't have something for the person who comes in second. It's like, come on, they were so close. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be an insane month. This is absolutely going to be an insane month. All right. We have more stories. So, as everybody know, if you don't know there's a postal strike, where have you been? Have you been living under a rock? Because yeah, so basically the postal strike is going strong. Now earlier in the week, basically contract talks, they did break off. They broke off. The federally appointed mediator basically said, all right, guys, take a break. Go reevaluate your positions. We are not even remotely close. Not even remotely close to a to a solution. Now, the talks, of course, they've stalled over a bunch of key issues. One of them is Canada Post wants to do 7-day-a-week deliveries. And the reason for that is, well, most of the business now, it's all about parcels. And with Amazon being sort of so dominant, the parcel delivery part is a huge thing. And right now, Canada Post is losing, it's a crazy amount of money Canada Post is losing. And they don't have a lot of money as it is. Like Canada Post does not get, in case you guys didn't know, they don't actually get money from the government. So they do have their own money and they've been losing it at an incredible amount. So things don't look very good for Canada Post. And that's one of the reasons that they're very hesitant about raising wages. I think Canada Post has offered roughly an 11% raise over 4 years, but the postal workers are looking for about 20, I think 24, 25, somewhere in that vicinity. So not good at all. So far, Canada Post has missed out on delivering 11 million parcels. So that's a lot of money that they normally, like this time of year is when they make most of their money. And that's not enough to keep them afloat. Now they're not making their money. This is going to really, really severely hurt them. I have a feeling on the other side of this, Canada Post may have to make a lot of changes. Now, the big worry, of course, with the postal people is that they're saying, okay, you guys want to hire part-time people to do deliveries on the weekend so you don't have to pay them as much. But they're thinking that's now going to impact us. And they're convinced it will impact the full-time people. And some of the full-time people are saying, we'll gladly deliver on the weekends. But of course, according to our contracts, you got to pay us double time and all of this other stuff. So it is a mess. And right now, the government has said they are not going to go to binding arbitration. They're going to just let it continue for the time being. So it's not good. It's not good at all, especially if you are a small business. So over 3/4 of Canadian small businesses they absolutely rely on Canada Post for crucial customer shipments. Those of you who were here last week, Jordan popped in and just mentioned, because he has a glass blowing business and he can't send stuff out. He can't do anything. He's kind of all tied up because of the strike. So definitely not good. So many of these businesses, between them plus Canada Post, they're looking at about 40% of their yearly revenue during this time of the year. And they're losing out on that as well. So it's certainly hurting them. Also, charities. A lot of charities, they receive a lot of their donations by mail. Apparently, I think a lot of seniors do a lot of donations. Those are not getting to them this year. So both the United Way and the Salvation Army, they are both anticipating a very deep drop in donations if this strike keeps going on. And there's no indication that it's not going to keep going. In addition to all of that, holy banana bread, Canada Post has now begun laying off some of their staff. So they say that it's temporary, but the union says some of them may be a little bit more permanent than they wanted them to be. And they're also calling them scare tactics, saying Canada Post is trying to scare them into lowering some of their demands so that they can get a resolution to it at all. Now, here's my question for you guys. Is this mail strike impacting you personally? Like me? Not at all. Not at all. Nothing is really impacting me with this strike, other than the fact that I have to have, I have to get AI to make beaver mail people, but hey, that's fine. But yeah, no, I mean, I know a lot of the small businesses, but what about you guys? Are any of you guys impacted by this? What's going on with you guys and this strike? So let me know where it is all at. JJ says, is the poll still active? I don't see it anymore. Yeah, I still see it as active. Let me pull it up here for a second. All right, so yeah, right now I see we've had 48 votes on it. It looks like half of the 48 people are saying yes. And all right, I'll end the poll now, JJ. You can participate. There you go. It's now done. JJ, you're fine. You're fine. All right. Larry says, had my first company liquidate itself and return everything to the shareholders. AVACF advanced they bought gas ships for 40 to 50 million, are reselling them for 150 to 200 million now. Total return 150% DIV. Not too bad. Yeah, I've never had that situation happen to me at all, Larry. So that's interesting. I don't think it's very common that it happens. Let's see. Plus shares in the company that bought the ships, 0.25 per share. That's not bad. I have had a situation though where one company buys another company and they, it's a cash buyout. Now, it's never happened to me because normally I'm paying attention, and I usually find that if that share price initially, sometimes it goes above where the other company is going to buy out, and then I'm going to sell, of course. That's what I did with Rogers and Shaw. When Rogers was first initially said they were going to buy Shaw, Shaw went through the roof that morning. It wasn't up there long, but I was at my keyboard selling, and I made a nice little profit on that. So not too shabby for sure. Bismarcky says down on the delivery of 11 million parcels, but probably saved money in the end. Now, maybe. Food banks. That's interesting. I never really thought that food banks use Canada Post that much, but yeah, I mean, I imagine there's donations that come through the mail for them as well. So yeah, that's not good. That's definitely good, not good. AA, not affected by Canada Post. Senan says, saving me and my relatives money. There we go. Bismarcky says, no effect on me as well. JJ says, I'm a newbie. I don't have any advantages. Yeah, you don't. Quite literally. I mean, these questions are going to be so easy that it's almost going to be like, it's just a matter of listening and, getting your answers in right away. Getting your answers in. Prairie says, strike not affecting me. Joe says, gift day. Gotta love a good gift day. Ha ha ha. And Joe says, oh, yes, waiting for my driver's license. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, a lot of these things like driver's license, they will mail them to you. So I'm wondering, I don't know where you live at, Joe, but in Ontario here we have service, what is it, Service Ontario or something, or I think it's like, I can't remember the name of it. But I'm just wondering if they have any alternatives where you can maybe have it mailed to your local, DMV and go pick it up maybe. But yeah, that's not good. Especially if you're close to expiring. Although normally they should give you like a temporary form that you can probably use for driving anyway. But yeah, there's probably a lot of that coming. King of Day says, at least no more junk mail. Yeah, that's a plus. Absolutely. Jay says, there is an incentive going AI robotics. They don't demand wage increases. They don't have breaks and can work 24/7. For now. But yeah, no, I think AI, AI is poised to start doing a lot of different stuff. I think right now, and it's actually interesting, we haven't had a lot of the big breakthroughs recently. So I'm expecting in early 2025, maybe even before then, maybe we might even see a surprise in December. But I'm expecting, for example, ChatGPT 5. I'm expecting to see that come out soon, either December or definitely early January. So, I think we're overdue for some AI news. And as we move more towards AI agents, that's going to really start to help tech as well, because then they'll be able to demonstrate to shareholders how they're making money with AI. And that will be a bit of a game changer when it comes to the current attitude. And that will get tech once again surging a little bit. So that will help sort of put a little bit of a kick in tech's step for sure. All right. We do have more stories, guys. We got more. All right. Oh, God. So, as you guys know, I have a Tiff Macklem beaver. Well, I have another beaver now. This is an American beaver. So, we'll, oh, boy. So this is my story about the tariffs. So, as you guys know, last week, Donald Trump threatened to impose a 25% tariff on all goods coming from Canada and Mexico unless we fix some of the issues that we have at the border. Now, Ottawa has spoken up, and they said that they will do what they can to fix our borders. Initially, they said, no way, we're not giving into that. But now that they've come around. In fact, They plan to boost funding for the Canada Border Services Agency and as well the RCMP to improve border security. In fact, when Trudeau flew down to Mar-a-Lago on Friday, one of the things that he actually told Donald Trump is that they're looking to deploy a helicopter on the border as well to sort of help prevent some of the issues that that Donald Trump was concerned about. Now, just to put this in perspective, we have a really long border between us and the United States. It's 9,000 kilometers, and it is the longest in the world, and there's pretty much almost no walls or fences. In fact, there are parts of the border that are marked by nothing more than stones on a residential street. There's actually this one street, I watched a YouTube video on it, where one side of the street is in Canada, the other side of the street is in the United States. So if you live on the Canada side and you want to drive down to the store, but you have to drive back, you're allowed to, but you're not allowed to stop or get out of your car on the US side. There's all kinds of crazy things with our border. But yeah, it's interesting. Definitely interesting for sure. Now, in the last 3 years, the Canada-US border, there has been a problem. Like, there's been a 600% surge in migrants caught trying to cross into the U.S. Now, the union representing Canada's 8,500 border agents, they've actually spoke up on this, and they said that if you really want to shore up the border, they're going to need about 2,000 more border agents. So if that's something you were looking for, like to do as a job, there's going to be openings from the sound of things. Definitely going to be some openings. The good news is, though, this is about the border. It's not about the tariffs. The tariffs are merely, I don't want to call them a scare tactic, but they're merely a motivation to get Canada and Mexico to take care of some of these other issues that Donald Trump has. And the fact that Trudeau was willing to fly down to Mar-a-Lago like that indicates that the country is taking it seriously. So I wouldn't worry about those tariffs. I think everything is going to get worked out. I'm not really concerned at all. But what can I say? What can I say? But yeah, now I have a Donald Trump beaver. So there we go. There we go. All right. Let's see here. All right. There we go. AA says all Crown Corps, including Canada Post, should be privatized. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's see. This is actually hilarious. I'm dead. Trump's brother. Trump Ever. Oh, boy. Looks like he just ate Justin Trudeau for lunch. Oh, God. Prairie says, love it. Best beaver ever. There we go. Yeah, this was... it took a while to get something I was happy with. So I do love it. I do love it. Now we just need the Beaver Trump to do Trump's YMCA dance. Oh, boy. Well, once AI gets there, maybe. Larry says, what's up with me only needing a license to enter Canada? That's interesting. I was not actually not aware that you could come up here with just your license. I know for Canadians, if we want to go into the U.S. now, we need to have a passport. But there had been, and I don't know where this went. There had been this talk of creating sort of an enhanced license that would allow movement across the border, but I don't know where that went. That is definitely interesting. Let's see. Trump is a Rider fan. Just get RoboCops. Absolutely. That was a good movie. I like that movie. Canada's immigration is a complete mess. I am glad Trump took up the issue. Well, this isn't even so much immigration. Like, these are people who are basically, because they're thinking it's easier to cross the Canada-US border, they're coming into Canada and then they're crossing instead of coming up from Mexico. So in some cases, I've actually heard stories of people from Mexico flying to Canada so they could cross the border. But yeah, I mean, we should, I think the border needs to be tightened for sure. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Missy says, I can see why you use the beaver because making Donald Trump look like an eagle probably would not work. It's exactly that. Exactly that. And you know what? Yeah, it was just the beaver just worked. And it's actually funny. I'm here's an interesting story. In talking to ChatGPT, ChatGPT was just saying to me one day, ChatGPT said, you always make beavers. Should I create a beaver world for you to pull pictures from? And I was like, yes, please. So now ChatGPT refers to my beaver pictures as part of Beaver World. So I'm like, okay, why not? But I found that kind of funny. Alberto says he looks better than Trump. And Missy says now is the time to invest in the security drones. Yeah, absolutely. Now just imagine, guys. Just imagine somebody just enters this. They have no idea what mountain finance is, and they see the live there on YouTube, and they just click on it, and then they see this beaver. Oh boy, that's kind of funny. Kind of funny to think about it. All right, this makes me think it's time to drop a membership. Well, let's do it. Let's do it. Where are we at right now? I don't know where we're at. All right, here we go. It is dropping. All right. Let's see. We now have. All right, here we go. Here we go. And Joe Snyder. Joe Snyder has won a membership. Congratulations, Joe. Congratulations. 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 Joe is one of our many American viewers. Love my American viewers. Now, Alberto, are you a psychic? Are you a psychic, Alberto? I'm asking you this because let me show you the next news story. You just commented on the next news story without even knowing it. But yeah, so Air Canada, they are poised to roll out facial recognition technology at the gate. So this is going to make it the first Canadian airline to deploy the software. In a bit, of course, they're looking to basically streamline the entire boarding process. So starting Tuesday, customers who board most domestic Air Canada flights in Vancouver will be able to walk onto the plane without presenting any physical pieces of ID. Now, you might be thinking, huh? Before that can happen, though, they do have to upload a photo of their face and scans of their ID and or passports to the Air Canada app. So they have to do this, and they have to do this for every flight because they don't actually hold this information. Actually, it stays in the system for 36 hours after they depart. So it's a new technology. Well, it's not a new technology. It's been around for a while, but it's new to the airlines. So it's kind of interesting. Now, Canadian carriers to date have been very slow to adopt biometric processes because face matching technology is already deployed by a number of U.S. airlines as well as overseas airports and government security agents. So it is pretty important. But yeah, so the personal information in their digital profiles, it's encrypted when it's sent and processed, so there's no danger to that. And it's used for those digital ID purposes only. It's not shared with any other systems at all. And as I mentioned earlier, 36 hours after you depart, it is deleted. It's gone. So that means, though, if you're going on vacation, you'll probably have to do it before with the app and do it after as well. But would you rather just spend a couple minutes in your chair behind the computer doing up the app and uploading a few pictures and stuff, opposed to going through a long lineup? I think that's a no-brainer. I definitely think that's a no-brainer for sure. But yeah, there we go. So that was actually really funny, Alberto. The fact that you hit that dead on. Missy's laughing. Beaver World. I know. Way to Joe. Or way to go, Joe. Yeah, way to go. Way to Joe. I love it. That's fantastic. 9 says, I would sub right away if that beaver picture was the first thing I saw on the channel. Oh, that would be hilarious. Absolutely. Alberto is saying that he is not a psychic. Okay. We're currently at giveaway number 5. Okay, keeping track. There we go. Make the Trump Beaver the face of the channel on the banner. No, no. Oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, of course it was on the news. It was very timely though. It was very timely that you came up with it. So I thought that was hilarious. Oh my. It's kind of funny. Like this flu, the cough is still lingering. It's still lingering. And it's giving me cold voice. But that's fine. I don't care. We're full steam anyway. All right, we still got some news stories left, believe it or not. Oh yeah, we're on number 7. Number 7. And this was another one that I mentioned earlier that we had. So, Canadian consumer debt. It's basically, just in case you guys don't know, Canadian consumer debt, basically this is all of your debt minus your mortgage. So your mortgage is not calculated in this. But it broke a record. It broke a record last quarter. So consumer debt hit an all-time high of $2.5 trillion. That's with a T. With a T. Now, interestingly enough, Gen Z is getting the blame for breaking the record. The rise has basically been driven up by a jump in auto loans by Gen Z. They're finally at that point where they're starting to get, buy their cars and everything. And they're also entering the credit market. So Gen Z is ringing up a lot of debt right now. Also, newcomers to Canada. So brand new immigrants are also helping to raise that debt bar quite a bit. Now, interestingly enough, last year Canada was named the G7 country with the highest household debt. Yeah, that's never good. And when I say that's never good, I mean the reason that this is bad is that when we do run into an economic downturn, it basically means that Canadian households have a lot less flexibility to navigate their way through it. So that is never good. That's one of the reasons that, you'll see, in worst case scenarios, we'll see an increase in bankruptcies and a lot of other really bad financial type situations. Luckily, I don't think we're going to go into an official recession in 2025. But, there are people that think we will. There are definitely people that think we will. I think we're going to be fine unless we have a black swan event. We should be able to. I do think a recession is coming, though. Likely 2026 in my books, but nobody can really predict it. The only thing we know 100% right now is we won't have a recession before the summer. We can't, because we got positive GDP. We need 2 months of negative GDP. And, once again, going back to the GDP per capita, yeah, that's in the crapper. And now, we'll have to see. Like, if we do get a couple of positive months of that could be very, very interesting. I think these rate cuts are going to help. But I think people have to be realistic. When you think about the other side, I think buying power on the other side is going to be lower than it was before the pandemic. I don't think we'll get back to there. So you do have to keep that into consideration. What can I say? Let's see here. Leandro says, I could not send any Christmas cards this year. Now, are you saying that as a happy thing or as a sad thing? I've never been one for Christmas cards. I just, I don't know what it is. It's just like, I don't know. I've just never really been one for them. But, I don't mind receiving them, but at the same time, it's like, if I don't receive one, like my mom doesn't give me a Christmas card anymore because she knows I just don't really care that much for them. At one point she was sending me electronic ones every year, but she's finally stopped doing that. And that's, I'm okay with that. And I love Christmas. I love Christmas a lot, but Christmas cards were just never my thing. Nine says, yeah, your consumer debt is insane. Not good. Yep, absolutely. Another congratulations to Joe. When a country opens its border, that's what happens. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so you are sad. You're sad that you can't send them. Yeah. And you know what? There are people that love Christmas cards. I mean, it's yeah, it's just one of those things. Like I remember, I mean, even when I was a kid. When I was a kid, you couldn't just give somebody a Christmas gift. You had to have a card on it. Um so yeah, I mean, yeah, I can understand why some people, and I'm okay with it. Like when I say I don't like cards, that's a personal thing. I'm okay with people who like cards. Like I know some people who love cards. Um, but yeah, I just usually, I always feel like this thing, like as a person who doesn't like cards that much, I always feel if I get one, then it's like, oh man, now I'm obligated to give one back. And then and then I'm like, oh, okay, I have to go buy a card, and it's never fun. It's never fun, but that's fine. That's fine. Now, yeah, and Alberto's got it right here. You can definitely email the cards. There's a lot of great, like I think even Hallmark has an email card site, and then you can do like animated cards and all of that fun stuff. My parents are old school. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yep. I think most of our parents. I think most, those of us who still have parents. I think most of our parents are old school. My mom is fine. My mom is like, what is my mom? My mom's like 70. Oh, she might be 75 or 74 by now. I don't know. I actually don't know my mom's age. I just know roughly where it is. Um yeah, no, she's actually one of those parents that sort of gets with the time. She's not really that stuck into the old ways, which is kind of different. I like it though. I do like it. Jonathan says, I like Christmas cards when there's a gift card inside. Ooh, there we go. Yep. Or you remember that song? There used to be a song. It was like, Give Me Money for Christmas. That was always a good song. It's funny. If I could go back in time and teach myself as a child, I bet you I would be asking my parents for a stock for Christmas. So that would be kind of funny. JJ says parents are 50. They're very conservative. Yeah, yeah. I mean, some people definitely are, and I think JJ in your culture too. There's people tend to be a lot more conservative. Now that might be a stereotype, and I apologize if it is, but it's just I've known a lot of people from Asian backgrounds who have, especially their parents, are like conservative to the T. But it's hard to say. It's hard to say. AA says you can always send virtual card via chat or email. Alberto wants to know, so what are the hot stocks this week? Boy, there's always hot stocks, isn't there? It really depends on what you're looking for. Like right now, I am still very bullish on my real estate stocks. So, while they're sort of in a little bit of a lull between pumps, I'm adding them for sure. just to sort of keep myself in a good position, I think, for when they start to do well. I also think if we get another explosion in Bitcoin, Bitcoin ETFs are going to be very hot. MicroStrategy has been absolutely on fire. And keep in mind, we're going to be getting that MicroStrategy deep dive. Compliments of Paul, so that's going to be good. That's going to be good for sure. Let's see, not conservative in the sense of politics, but very risk adverse. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah, conservative. Now you're right, especially Chinese immigrants. There we go. Yeah. Let's see, face fuchsia tongue out. What was that? Oh, it's a emoticon. I was like, what does that mean? I had to look over there at the, I got YouTube open over there so I can see things. Basically, I have it open over there so that I can do this. Give me a second here. Let's drop this in. Boom, bang, done. So that way there I can gift you guys, not a card, but a membership. Here we go. JP has won a membership. Congratulations, JP. I don't know if you're here, but congratulations nonetheless. Let's see. Leandro says a couple of Fairfax stocks would be a nice Christmas gift. Oh, yes. Absolutely. That would be a fantastic Christmas gift for sure. All right, here we go. Congrats, JP. And JJ says, but I am the anomaly, changing the fate of Gen Zers in being more risk taking. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with, you know, there's nothing wrong with risk taking as provided you're okay with when things go sideways. I always say, have contingency plans for both directions. So whether you succeed or whether you fail, make sure you get a contingency plan, and usually then, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Funny Book says my S, or my daughter turned. Your daughter turned into an S, maybe, or maybe, yeah, I don't know what you're saying, Funny Books, but it might be funny. I'll just leave it at that. Hey, nice win, JP. Absolutely. That's always fantastic. All right, we still have one more news story. All right. Beavers in space. There we go. Believe it or not, we do have a space story. Sort of. It's not actually a space story, but so a Montreal healthcare center, they have launched a pilot to basically to see if remote telemedicine technology that was developed for Canadian astronauts up in space could work in Canada. So they've developed, it's called an autonomous medical module, so a C2M2. And these are basically, I'm going to say they're probably almost exactly the size of a shipping container. And they are packed with medical instrumentation as well as AI that can detect, treat, and manage a whole bunch of specific conditions. So these C2M2s, they can monitor about 40 different vitals, and they can also allow for virtual consultation with an actual, doctor, not an AI doctor, but an actual, blood and skin, blood and flesh, or whatever doctor, a real doctor. Now, where these would be ideal is they're thinking about that these could be used up in remote areas of Canada where access to doctors is pretty much problematic at best. And they're very easy to get there because being the size of a, container, you can basically put them on a train. So anywhere's train tracks are, anywhere's that, and a lot of trains, especially CN, they have a lot of railways up north, and you can move these up there. You could basically move them up by rail and then put them on a truck to take it to wherever you want to put it. But these could be really, really good. And just when you look at the Canadian North, there's a lot of Native folk up there that have absolutely no access to doctors. So these could be game changers. These could be absolute game changers for sure. All right, before we get back to the chat, very quickly, next week in Canada and the U.S., we pretty much only have one big significant day. That is December 6th. Jobs data will be dropping in both Canada and the U.S. So this will be the last piece of data for the Bank of Canada in making that rate decision. So that could be big. Earnings-wise, holy banana bread. We got the big six banks dropping their earnings this week, all of them. Also, Canadian Western Bank, EQ Bank, Laurentian Bank. Dollarama's in there too. They're not a bank, but they're certainly banking on some earnings. Probably, it might be a good earnings call. We'll have to see. But yeah, that's all dropping up this week. It's absolutely fantastic. So nothing wrong with that. All right, now we are done the news, folks. All right, I am going to, all right, there we go. I was just moving my news sheet out of the way. All right, let's see here. All right, here we go. Okay, so your daughter is 18 and starting to invest. Should we wait until mid-December to buy her first stock? No, that would be it. That's a good question. I I love that adage. The best time to invest is yesterday, or to start investing is yesterday. The next best time is now. However, what I would recommend is maybe not buy her first company, but maybe if she wants to get her fingers wet, maybe look at a nice blue chip ETF, something like, maybe a VFV or something like that. And then just get that one stock, or even something like XEQT. That's another great option. That way there, she at least has something that she can watch. And by going with a blue chip, you're going to definitely see some movement in the right direction that will help reinforce some of that positive behavior. That's what I would say. And then at Christmas, if you wanted to gift her a stock. Now, I know that King a Day, the next question says, can you actually donate stocks to an individual? Well, no, you can't. But you can donate money to an individual. So, in a situation like that, you could basically say, okay, well, I'll give you, let's say you were going to give her a stock that was, let's say you wanted to buy her a CNR stock. Well, that's about $160. You'd have to move, you'd have to give her the 160. Maybe supervise and make sure she actually puts it into the stock. But I imagine if you give it to her for that, she knows you're going to be watching, so probably she will do it. I have a feeling that you have a very honest daughter. But yeah, you can do it that way. You can't just say, okay, here's a Microsoft stock gift certificate. Although that's not a bad idea. Other than I think there would be a lot of regulatory rules against it. But yeah, so you would have to basically donate money to the person and they would have to buy the stock. The one exception, and this is kind of an exception, if you have a child and you are actually investing for them in an RESP or an RDSP, for example, in either of those situations, you're technically the one who's managing the account and buying everything. But eventually, they're going to be the beneficiary of all of that. So that would be kind of an exception. JJ is saying, it's already December technically. Do it as early as possible. Yeah, it definitely is December. I love it. I love it, for sure. All right. That happens. You should see some of the words I come up with when the cat walks across the keyboard. Oh, boy. I'm always open to receive a stock donation. Absolutely. Paul says, just calculated my MicroStrategy cost basis at 200.49 USD. Not bad at 387.47 USD close on Friday. Yeah, look at this. That's almost double, and it was double at one point because MicroStrategy did have a what were they? They went up to about they went up to, was it 450? They've been doing fantastic. Actually, I think why do I think they went up to 500? I'm probably just hallucinating that. Sort of like an AI hallucination. My daughter wants me to buy Aritzia. Okay. Yeah, that's a choice. Aritzia, I do like Aritzia. I don't think it's going to be a big, massive growth stock, but they do okay. So, if it's a situation where, and I would do it. If I had a daughter and she wanted Aritzia, I'd be like, okay, well, I'll buy this one Aritzia. We'll hold it over here, and that'll be your Aritzia. And then, you can come and look at it whenever you want to and all of that. But I don't know. Well, you know what? We are done the news, right? So that means, give me a second here. Let's switch venues here. Let's actually go over here to Bang. We'll go full screen, only because I wanted to move into a different set of containers. And we can come over here like this. All right. I can now pull up some stocks. So let's go over here to Aritzia. Oh, ATZ. There we go. Good old Aritzia. Oh, they're up 1.9% last trading day. Yeah. Well, they've actually been doing a lot better. They have been doing a lot better. I'm going to go back to the 3 years. they had struggled for a while. And this is kind of what I was thinking about is they had a lot of struggles, but, and this is the thing, as rates come down, people start to spend more, and that is helping Aritzia. But yeah, but when you look at them on a longer scale, other than, this big bunch in here, they tend to be kind of flat, and eventually they'll flatten out a bit more. I still think they're a good stock. I don't think you're going to, I don't think you'll lose money on it unless you do get another drop down and you were to sell down here. But I think as long as you hold on tight, you're probably going to be fine. All right. Let's see. AA says, I am from Montreal, and it's really, really difficult to assess a doctor here, or access a doctor here. I don't remember when I saw a doctor last time. Trust me, I would prefer to have AI as doctor than having no doctor. Oh yeah, absolutely. No, AI is going to be better than a family doctor. We're not there yet, but it will be. So here's kind of, let me give you the reasoning behind this, because AI, well, let's just put it this way. We'll give you two examples. Your family doctor. Your family doctor has seen a lot over his or her career. But when they look at you, if you present with something they haven't seen, they're going to be at a disadvantage. It may take longer to figure out what's going on with you. Whereas with an AI doctor has seen everything that any doctor has seen and published about. So the chances of you coming into an AI doctor with something the AI has never seen before is very, very small. So an AI doctor would be able to recognize pretty much any obscure disease you might happen to have. And that's going to be a huge advantage. Now, your AI doctor is not going to have actually, you know what? I was going to say that your AI doctor probably doesn't have a great bedside manner, but it may actually have a better bedside manner than a real doctor. I'm just kind of thinking about my conversations with ChatGPT. I mean, boy, she is very bubbly. So, it might actually be a better situation. Now, some people, though, I think some people will probably still want that human-to-human contact, but you know what? It will get to a point, and going far enough into the future, we'll get to a point that you won't have to go to a doctor's office, that you will have a doctor at home, like an AI system that acts as a doctor whenever you need it, and you'll get scanned a lot more, and things will get caught sooner than later. We're not as far away as you might think we are from a lot of this. It's advancing really, really fast. So that is very, very concerned. Why is no one concerned we have aliens? I assume we're talking about illegal aliens and not little gray men. But because you used the little emoticon, I have to ask. I don't think, yeah, we definitely have illegal aliens in Canada, no doubt about it. I don't think we have the same issue as they have in the States, because I mean, especially in the South, a lot of the economy is almost built around illegal aliens, and you can go to some places like you take Florida. In Florida, there's a lot of places where they actually have like a trade. Sort of a background trade commerce. So, you don't pay for things. You just simply trade things. Like let's say, for example, if you're a carpenter and your neighbor is an electrician, you might go do some carpentry for them and they'll do some electrical work for you type thing. So there's little trades like that. There's this whole, I'm trying to think of what you would call it, just its own little trade market. And I know when I heard about it, when I was in Florida and I heard about this, I was just like, this is crazy. I'd never heard of anything like this up in Canada. But I imagine we have places where you can find that in Canada as well. But yeah, I mean, we certainly have illegal aliens, just not to the extent that the U.S. has them. It is that thing. Like, there are people, for example, who do come to Canada on probably legitimate, like there's people in Canada right now that come on legitimate visas and those visas expire and they're just like, I don't want to go back to my country. And there are some of them here, absolutely. You know, and I imagine every country probably to some extent has some amount of illegal aliens. Um, you know, just kind of one of those things. Let's see. Let's see. JJ says, "Do you use Dialogue? I'm from Montreal and I moved here 5 years ago and still on the family doctor waiting list. For now, I use the Dialogue Virtual Hub service." Yeah, there's also TELUS Health, and there's a whole bunch of virtual things that at least give you some access, because you know, especially if you just have like something and you need, you know, let's say for example, I'm trying to think of something that you could have, something where you just need, you know, just a prescription of some sort for whatever issue you have. A lot of times you can do that through virtual health. Now, I know in Ontario it's pretty easy. I don't know what the logistics of that in Quebec are, but you know, and plus I know one of the things they did in Ontario because of our shortage of family doctors is they have put, they've actually given a lot more power to pharmacists. So, for example, let's say you have a UTI, which is a urinary tract infection. You can now go to a pharmacist and get antibiotics for that. And there's a few other things as well that that the pharmacist can just straight up prescribe to you that they never used to be able to. So definitely interesting. Redwater says, "We all want aliens to take over global governance." Well, you know, I don't know about aliens, but maybe AI. Maybe AI will eventually. Sinan says, "You can name someone as a successor, though." Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you can definitely leave, you know, your TFSA or your RRSP. I mean, you can leave it to somebody for sure. Let's see, I don't know too much, but I heard you can do that with a portfolio. Yeah, absolutely. If you look on my channel, I actually have a video on what happens to stocks when you die. And it breaks everything down for you. So definitely, if you're interested in that, check it out. Check it out. AA says, "I heard of Dialogue, but I thought you have to pay for it." That must be the one that, yeah, the one in Montreal or in Quebec. The child would not be the owner of the contributions in an RESP. No, they're technically not, but they do benefit from it. Now with like an RDSP, they do eventually take ownership of that. But that's what I'm saying. Those are they're kind of like exceptions, but they're kind of odd. They're kind of, especially with the RESP, it's more of they're just a beneficiary more than anything else. Let's see. AA, you do not, unfortunately, if your employer does not include it, but I have it through school. Okay, there we go. So I have absolutely nothing. I was right. It was 500. Yeah, so one morning you get to 540. I thought it did. Then closed at 371. Yeah. So what is it? Oh, somebody put a big short on it. Oh, you gotta love that. You gotta love that. Funny Book says, "The tax loss harvesting video today hinted that waiting until mid-December to buy might be advantageous. Would waiting then save some money?" Maybe. It really boils down. Now, I did have a comment that was very interesting. And one is that because the market has been at all-time highs for such a long time right now, could we get into a situation where we don't have as much because people just don't have the losses to sell? That is a possibility, but I still think you're going to see, you will see some red in, I would say, the first 2 weeks. Not that it's going to be like red, but I think you're going to see some moments of redness. Now, overall, I think the market by the end of December, I do think we're still going to be up. I've heard some predictions of like 9% that the S&P 500 is expected to increase by 9% over December. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do think we'll be up overall. So it's kind of one of those things. And this is what I always say, Funny Books, is that, yeah, you know, it's nice to wait for a dip, but at the same time, if you look at where we're at right now, if the price goes up $5 before the dip happens and the dip's only like $4, I'm just using these as examples, you would have been better off to buy now, you know, instead of paying $1 more in that upcoming dip. So you kind of have to look at it that way. Um, you know, and that's the whole thing, because I hear people saying all the time, well, I don't want to buy at an all-time high. And, that's what it boils down to. And let's just see here. The old whiteboard. Whoops, let's get out of there. When you're looking like this, let's say that's your dip. If you're down here and you're at an all-time high, ATH, you're thinking, I don't want to buy here. I want to wait for a dip. So let's say here it's $6. Well, here comes your dip. You got a dip at, let's say you got a dip at $9 and it went down to $8. Well, yeah, you bought the dip. Congratulations. But when you were worried back here at $6, if you bought it here, you would have made more money. So that's kind of that thing that you have to be kind of, careful of. I mean, sometimes, yes. Sometimes you may be at an all-time high and maybe you get a major correction. Maybe. That can happen. In which case that person who's like, I'm afraid to buy here, and they wait for the dip, and maybe they get it down here, or maybe they get it here, depending on. Usually, honestly, most people do not buy it here. Why? Because they still think they're in that down attitude. They still think it's going further. Usually it has to start correcting and then start going back up before they realize, I better buy. So then they end up buying on the way up. So they almost never get that bottom. It's very rare that anybody buys exactly right there. The one exception is sometimes if somebody happened to create a limit order and they're like, well, if it ever gets to this amount, I'll buy it. They might hit it, but that's dumb luck more than anything else. It's always dumb luck if you hit exactly at that point. So, you have to sort of look at it that way and keep that in mind when it comes to, should I wait for the dip? Because if it's not a big dip, you may actually pay more by waiting for the dip than to buy now at an all-time high. So that's something to keep in mind, especially when you have a healthy market. So when for example, right now, we know that, let's say the market is let's say they're accurate and the S&P 500 is going up 9%. Pretty much the sooner you buy along here, whether it dips or not, you're probably going to be better off, just to sort of think of it that way. All right. All right. Paul says, funny books, I did the opposite. No tax loss harvesting on November 4th. Sold all crypto, put funds into TFSA, and bought BTCX.B to reduce additional capital gains. All right, there we go. An AI doctor won't sugarcoat the diagnosis. No, it won't. It won't. It'll be like, you got cancer. You got 3 weeks. Sorry. It might actually, you know what? Maybe we're both wrong on this one, because I know ChatGPT can get really bubbly. It's kind of funny, too. I find a lot of times nowadays, if I want direct answers from ChatGPT, I pretty much have to tell it to do it in fewer words, please. Because sometimes ChatGPT likes to just go off on a tangent. So it's very interesting the way AI is developing. So we'll have to sort of see how that changes. I can't wait to see version 5. I'm very, very, very interested in that. Bismarcky says, too cold here for illegal aliens. Uh-oh. Maybe. It is pretty darn cold. I'm cold right now. I'm actually chilled. I'm like, this is chilly here. Leonardo says, I do DCA every week. Awesome. That's smart. That is very smart. And that is one of the keys to basically doing really well in the market. When you DCA, dollar cost average in, you will, for most people, you will make more money than if you did it any other way. And Prairie is throwing that in. Time in the market supersedes timing the market. Yeah, absolutely. All right. We have Vineet in the building. Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday. Missy says, I can't reply to anyone. The @ symbol isn't there. Oh, that's weird. I don't know what's going on, Missy. I don't know at all. And yeah, exactly right. The timing the market quote, definitely a good one. All right. All right, give me a second here. Whoops, that didn't work. All right, there we go. I need to drop another membership. So let's get in here. Bang, boom. Here it comes. Who is going to win? I don't know. And boom, ba-doom, boom, boom. Here we go. And who won? Who won? It is somebody. I think the algorithm is taking its time. All right, Sterling Silver. Sterling Silver has been gifted a membership. Congratulations, Sterling. I haven't seen Sterling in a while. I haven't. Hopefully this is like one of those things you get the email. It's like, oh boy, better go back to a live stream and because I remember Sterling. Sterling used to be very active in the chat quite a bit. So love the Sterling Silver. Perfect. All right. Whew. What are we looking at here? All right, God. Whoa. Excuse me. I hit the poor mic. All right, guys. If you got your last minute questions, let's just throw them in. Let's get them all up and going. We are at 46 likes, by the way. I'd love to see that 50 again, guys. If you guys can just sort of hit that like button while I have, of course, a sip of the good old coffee. Definitely good. AA says, damn, why I never win anything? I don't know. First of all, though, AA, if you look at the last, the thing where it says Mountain Finance gifted one Mountain Finance membership, look underneath that. Is there a little gray box? If there's a gray box there, it might be telling you that you don't have it turned on. So you have to have it turned on to be able to win. Now, outside of that, the other thing that will prevent you from winning is, and I don't know why YouTube does this, but if you're a brand account, you can't win. Why? I don't know. Unless it's YouTube saying, we don't want brands to win, we want regular folk to win. Maybe that's what it is. So it's kind of that way. The other thing, too, that kind of annoys me is I would like to, I love doing it this way. I love it without a doubt. But there's every so often there's somebody who has been in the chat forever and they're always contributing and they never win, and I want them to win. So I can't pick a person. I can't sort of say, okay, like AA, here we go, AA, you win. I can't do it. It won't let me. Now that is, if you're familiar with Twitch, Twitch has the same idea where you can gift memberships, but they also allow you to pick a person. And that's something I really like. Oh, well, there we go. AA. Ha ha ha. It was turned off. Okay. Oh, fantastic. That's good news. That is very good news. All right. And of course, the other big thing is just be active, and that gives you a better chance. So I'm gonna drop one more right away just to see if it can go to AA. No, it went to Bill. Bill was gifted a membership. Oh, banana bread. I tried. I don't know what's going on. Oh, well. I think that was the 8th. So that means we still got a couple more. We still got a couple more to gift. JJ is probably keeping the official tally somewhere, but I'm pretty sure that was number 8. This is funny. Bill says, haha, I turned on gifts and got AA's membership. There we go. But Bill is very active. And keep in mind, guys, I think it looks at YouTube in general. I don't think it's just in the chat. Like, I know Bill leaves a lot of comments on videos, and that's probably part of the algorithm. I mean, honestly, I don't know how the algorithm thinks, but it certainly does like Bill. And by the way, guys, remember when I mentioned earlier about what was it? Oh, right, about how because of the market being as kind of at that all-time high and there's not that much room or much opportunity for stocks to go down, That was Bill that pointed that out to me in this, actually on the comments for this morning's little live stream. So, that is kind of cool. Guys, I do want to point out there's going to be a live stream tomorrow sometime during the day. I don't know what time yet. I'm probably aiming for an afternoon, maybe. I don't know. It really depends. Well, actually, it depends on two things. We have the one for the financial blogmas. Now, we do have one super in. If we do get 3 more before this ends, then we're doing a market close. That'll be your standard market close. But in addition to that, we are going to have our day 2 of Blogmas. I need to come up with a topic. Here's the thing. If you know of a short topic you want covered on Blogmas, feel free to drop suggestions on any of the Blogmas videos. Because I have no problem. I'm just going to come up with 15, I think 24 or 25, 24. There's 24 of them. So I'm going to just come up with them like we did the Santa Claus rally today. Tomorrow? I'm not sure yet. I'll see what I feel like in the morning. But I'll pick up something because my goal is to have about 15 to 20 minutes, I think is a good amount of time for these financial blogmasses. So I try to cover a topic, and I also try to give you a little bit of behind the scenes to the best that I can. Today, you actually got to meet one of my cats today. If you look closely at today's video and you look over my shoulder, you'll actually see Autumn, one of my cats, asleep on the couch. She was there the whole time. I didn't even know it until I was putting a thumbnail up on it, and I when I was looking at it, I was like, "Oh my God, there's Autumn!" It's like I did not realize she was in it, but she did make it. Oh gosh, can't wait for this cough to finally be gone. But I mean, I feel fantastic. So that's the nice thing about that. Coming up this week on the channel, by the way, Tuesday, we've got the 0 to 100K challenge. Like we do the video every 2 months, and then in between month, we just do a update on the community tab. So that is dropping tomorrow. And this one is all about getting ready for 2025. So that's kind of the theme of this episode, because 2025 is coming up pretty soon. I'm going to do a few more. I'm probably going to get some more content in as well in December on how to be prepared for what is going to come. And keep in mind, too, here's a good question. Do you notify us before the streams? Everything is scheduled except for these. And part of the reason that these are not scheduled is that, let's say, for example, it's that day that I'm going to go down to the Parliament buildings. I have no idea what time I can start. Like, I might get down there. Let's say I aim to get there for 2 o'clock. I might get there, but there might just be people in the way, and I'm trying to look for a place that I can set up to film. So that could take an extra half an hour, or maybe it takes 45 minutes. Maybe it takes 10 minutes. I don't know how long it's going to take. So for that reason, the financial blogmas ones are not really, I'm not looking for a lot of interaction on those ones. You're more than welcome, of course. Come ask questions while they're on. I will still talk to you, of course. I'm looking at those as being more of just watch them after the fact. But, yeah, and you will get an email. Yeah, if you've hit AA mentioned here, you can select the bell icon. Yeah, if you've got that bell icon selected, it should email you and let you know that that I'm going live for it. But yeah, I will say this. One thing I will say is next Sunday's one will probably be early too, and that's because Sunday's a full day for me. So let me tell you my schedule today. All right, so I get up at 5:30 a.m. This is a Sunday. I get up at 5:30 a.m. I came in, checked some comments, checked a few stats. Then I went downstairs, had breakfast, watched a quick show with Jill. Then I came upstairs, got ready, got everything set up, and filmed the 0 to 100K challenge. So I filmed that. After I filmed that, I got myself ready and carried stuff downstairs and got everything set up. Then I did the live stream. Then, as soon as I finished the 0 to 100K, as soon as I finished the financial Blogmas, I turned around, came back upstairs to my office, got myself settled in at the Final Cut Pro, and spent the rest of the day, other than break, I took a small break for lunch. Then I spent the rest of the day editing. I finished editing about 30 minutes before I had to start getting ready for this stream. And now I'm on this stream. When I finish the stream, I will have supper and probably just watch a couple of shows and then go to bed. That's pretty much the day. But that's fine. I don't mind it. I honestly don't mind it. I mean, if I did, I probably wouldn't be doing this. But yeah, but that, keep in mind, Sundays tend to be my most busy day. So by telling you the schedule, it basically means next week will probably be the same. So next Sunday, the Financial Blogmas will probably be around the same time. And I figure Wednesdays will probably also be early, because Wednesday is another full day of editing, filming. Wednesday and Sundays are my busiest days of the week. Like, I normally tell people, people who want to reach out to me, I'm like, don't even bother talking to me on a Wednesday or a Sunday, because, I don't have, like, my mom knows. My mom finally has figured it out. Like, I'm like, if you can't figure out how to hook your printer back up, don't plan to print anything on Sunday. You'll have to ask me Monday. So, but yeah, I mean, it took her a while. It took her a while to figure it out, but she's come on board. She's come on board for that. So definitely. All right. Niece says, what would you recommend for me to invest in Canada? There's a good thing. Now, here's this thing, and I'm going to say this. I will say this. So when you are investing in another country, so in this case, Niece investing in Canada, you got a couple of options. Unless you're planning to buy a bunch of stocks, you're not going to get a great diversification within Canada. So in that case, I would almost recommend looking at some ETFs, because you can get into some good ETFs. Now, mind you, you may be interested in particular sectors as well. So there are ETFs for different sectors. So, for example, if you're interested in Canadian oil, something like XEG, which is the iShares Capped Energy Index, is a great way to gain exposure to a lot of different Canadian companies, oil companies. Like VDY is another way if you want to get a good exposure to the TSX. So that's what I would highly recommend, because I think that makes the most bang for your buck. Sort of like, if I'm going to invest, like right now with the US, I started going with some individual companies. With the rebalance, I have pulled it back a little bit. So I did go with the Schwab US equity, and that was in the last update, and I've added more to that this time around. So to me, it's just a good way to get a good exposure to a lot of the country. So that's kind of where I would go with. But keep in mind, if you are looking for individual companies, there's definitely a lot of different individual companies, but you're going to need to get a few of them if you're looking for better diversification. For example, big thing with Canada though is that the two biggest sectors, of course, are going to be our banking sector, and our energy. Those are the two really big ones. But at the same time, I love our railroads. I love both CNR and CP, CP Kansas City. I love both of these railroads. I think they're very, very good. CN is one of the bigger railroads in the world. They're up there with Union Pacific from the U.S. They're both huge. So just gives you, actually, I think, if I remember correctly, I think Union Pacific might be one and CN is two, or it's vice versa. I know I think they're both in the top two, so they're very, very big. Let's see here. We got a thanks here. Paul says, models project MicroStrategy at a 120K Bitcoin that the share price will be 785. Holy banana bread. And I think we're going to get to that 120. Just I'm putting that into perspective. 350K Bitcoin is almost 40K per share. I'll believe that when I see it. Yeah, 40K. Oh boy. I will tell you guys right now, the MicroStrategy video I'm going to do for Paul, you guys will want to watch this because there's some crazy stuff around MicroStrategy that I think will blow your minds when you sort of see how they're making money. Yeah, that will be interesting. Paul says that would be one heck of a RRSP to melt down. Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, we're looking at a pretty big one for sure. All right, let's drop another membership here. Here we go. It's time to do it. Time to do it. All right. And all right, here we go. Here we go. Who wins? Who wins? Tom Smith. Tom Smith has been won. He hasn't been won, but he has won a membership. Oh, fantastic! I love it. I love it when this happens. Tom is very, very active. I haven't seen him today, but he might be in the background doing something. But congratulations, Tom. Congratulations. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I love it. Yeah, I think we've done 10. I'm not sure. Not 100% sure, but I think we have. So, we'll, you know what? Let's give me a second here. I'll do one more. Then that way there we know we got the 10. All right. There we go. There we go. One last chance. And Christy Buffalo Rowan has won. This has to be. Christy is probably one of my beloved lurkers. I love my lurkers. I got a lot of people who, quite literally, I'll look. I watch, the people who are actually talking in chat. And you guys probably make up about 25% of the people who are here. There's a whole big slew of people in the background who either they're listening, they're just listening and they don't really have keyboards, or sometimes if you're watching this on TV, it's really, you may not be able to chat or anything like that. But there's also people as well that are shy, and it's kind of fun. It's fine. I don't mind. I will say this to the lurkers: I don't bite. But yeah, and that's fine. I'm absolutely okay with that. I love all of the viewers equally. It makes, of course, those of you who are talking and asking questions, it makes the show easier. Could you imagine if I was here for 2.5 hours and nobody said a boo in the chat and I had to sort of come up with new content completely on my own? I could do it, but we might be talking about some pretty wacky stuff for sure. But I would still try. I'd still try. Haha, yes, Tom is here. Haha. Always love to see Tom. There we go. Vineet says, I hope I win. I don't think you can. I think we've done the last one. I think we have. I think. Let me just take a look here, because I never know. I'm just the count. Oh, and we just got our 50th like, so thank you very much for that. Here we go. You know what, Vineet? I think this will put us at 11. And I said sometimes we go to 11, so here we go. Let's see who won Omra's Roar. Oh, I heard that from far away. They have won a membership. Congratulations. Always fun. We're going to do this again. Guys, we will do this again next month. The first Sunday of every month. That's what we're doing. Free memberships. So, next time in January, it's going to be that let's break up the January blahs with some free memberships. Nothing wrong with that. Exactly. Congrats, Omra's Roar. Pretty good. All right. And Benny says congrats. Fantastic. All right, guys, we are really, really close to the end. I'll give the call one last time. If you've got any dead final questions you want to throw, do it now or wait till tomorrow. That's the funny thing. Big 50. Big 50 is in the house and says congrats. This is another name. I do not think I've seen Big 50 before. Congratulations. Funny Book says 2025. Oh yeah, we're getting close to 2025. It's gonna be great. We have a lot of content built around the new year, so it's kind of funny. Actually, I can pull it up here. Give me a second here. Let me pull up our Discord. All right, here we go. And here's the schedule right here. So this is fantastic. I do not have all of these financial blogmasses written on the schedule, only because I don't have the time. But there will be one every single day, and we're going to have that 5,000 sub stream probably sooner than later. I imagine we'll have that probably somewhere in, maybe even in this area. It's hard to say. We'll get it. Oh, and here, that subscriber sponsored video, that is on December 13th, Paul. So that's the date for that. But what was I going to point out? Oh, down towards the end here, you guys will notice we got a lot of holiday content for you guys. So we do have a Christmas Day live stream. We do this every year. Actually, funny, the first year I did it, I honestly didn't think anyone was going to show up because it's like Christmas Day. Come on, you should family time. Nobody's going to show up to a live stream, but they did. They showed up, and it's been very popular every year. We're doing it again. We also do a New Year's live stream. So here's what happened last year, because I'm not going to stay up till midnight my time. We picked a time zone and we celebrated someplace in Europe. We celebrated their New Year's, and we'll do the same thing this year. It'll be fun. We'll have a little countdown and all of that fun stuff. It was a blast. It was absolutely a blast last year. So I can't wait. January 1st, that's when my 2025 prediction video comes in. I will call the sectors, all of that stuff. Now, on the New Year's live stream, we're going to review the 2024 prediction video, and we'll mark it together as a community. You know, did I hit? Did I miss? We'll figure out what my success rate was on that. We'll be harsh. I'm actually probably more critical of hits and misses than what you guys were. I know last year I was saying, oh, that's a miss, and everybody in the chat was like, no, that's a hit. But we'll do that all over again. It's going to be fantastic. Then we'll move full force into January. Do notice as well, whoops, I didn't correct the time here, but on January, I'm going to correct these times. Videos will be dropping at 3 p.m. Basically, according to my analytics, most of my viewers are on a little bit later than when I'm dropping the videos. So most of my viewers are actually on around 4 and onward. So I think between 4 and 6 is the most ideal time to drop videos. So I've been slowly moving them. Every year I move them an hour closer to that. So this year we're moving them from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So that's going to come up. Boy, somebody's having some fun. I'm watching as I get a like and a dislike, a like, a dislike. It's going back and forth. That's hilarious. I find it hilarious because now I can actually see that in real time. So that is kind of funny. So yes, whoever's doing that, I'm watching. It's funny. All right, let's see. Where are we at here? Paul says Bitcoin trying to get to 98K. Yeah, I am expecting. I think this week we are going to probably break that 100K mark. So I am expecting that for sure. Big 50 says, Big 50 has been around now and again. Thanks for the shout out, Mountain. Wish everyone all the best. Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a great week, guys. I can't wait. You know, if we get some snow tomorrow, you know, Wednesday it actually does look like. I want to do one day where I do the financial blogmas where I'm sort of outside with a ton of snow falling on me. I will probably for that. I'll probably even throw this here on here for that one. little green Santa hat. Why not? Why not? It'll keep my head warm as I'm as we're doing it. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. Big 50 says, I'm a big fan of the purpose investments. My BTCY.BTSLY, YNVD, Google, and Amazon are 5 off the top of my head. I love them. Purchased 18 months ago and happy with the results. Your opinion, long-term hold. Yes and no. I'll give it to you. Here's kind of how I look at them, all right? We'll actually use BTCY as an example. All right, I want to bring them up, and I'm going to sort of illustrate my kind of idea with BTCY. All right, so BTCY, so that, of course, is your Bitcoin purpose yield. So they're using covered calls. So because of that, you run into this issue with upside potential, and we'll show you that right here. Let's go to the 5-year. Now you'll notice, so this is when they launched. Around this time, Bitcoin was around $66,000, probably a little bit less, but they launched pretty much at the beginning of crypto winter. And you'll see, they fell. They fell big time. As Bitcoin went down, so did they. Now, here's the issue. If you look at the new high right now, we're sitting at, we made it almost to 100,000. But look at this. We've only made it up to $9. And we started at 66,000 higher. So you can sort of see some of that potential, because when it goes up fast and Bitcoin explodes, you lose a little bit of that potential. So the way I've been handling this is I will buy, I love all of those. But we'll just use Bitcoin for this example. I love Bitcoin during this area, like the BTCY. I will ride them here because I'm getting the really nice dividends. And then when we start to slowly go up, I will still ride it. But once we get to the point where we start going a little bit on the parabolic, I will usually step out. And then what I do is from BTCY, I move it over to BTCC. So it doesn't have any dividends, but it's a spot. Meaning that when we explode like this, I'm going to get all of that. I'm not going to have any upside potential. And just to explain what happens when that happens, is we'll go back to the old whiteboard. So what happens is when you're writing a call option, so let's just say, for example, Bitcoin, I'm going to use the numbers from 1 to 100, but each of these numbers means 1,000. So let's say, for example, you're sitting at 70,000 on the Bitcoin. So what'll happen is they will put in a contract, and they will say, and this is going to be a long, they might say that, okay, if Bitcoin, and they'll put in a strike price. They'll say, let's say the strike price is 80,000. So they'll basically say that, okay, we will sell you a contract that at a specific time, so let's just say it's 1 week. We'll say it's a very short contract. So they put in a contract for 1 week that if Bitcoin is above 80,000, hits that strike price, that person would have the right to buy it at 80,000. So during that week, if we have a huge explosion of Bitcoin, and let's say Bitcoin goes up to 90,000, well, whoever bought that contract is now able to buy whatever the amount in the contract was at 80,000 when it's worth 90,000. So that little potential right there, you've lost that. That's gone. So big X through it. You've lost it. So you don't get, so for the ETF, let's say, for example, at 80,000 or at 70,000, let's say the ETF is worth, we'll say it's at 850. So if that ETF was at 850, by the time it got up to 80, it might be, let's just say, we'll say 880. We'll just go in this amount. Now, if at 90, everything were moving steadily, you might be able to have, let's say, 930. But guess what? You're not going to get that because it got bought out at that amount. So then what happens is that, in this case here, Purpose would then have to rebuy at 90. So they buy it back. So basically, you're now at 90, but you've only got the 880. instead of the 930. So that there is just an example of where you would lose some of that upside potential. And that sort of works into kind of the reason why when we are in that upper strategic, so when we're in that upper movement, I'll move to like a spot Bitcoin ETF. So for example, BTCC, I actually like it. I always go with the peg to the US dollar, so I don't have to worry about any conversions. So in this case here, this one doesn't matter. They're not, there's no contracts on, there's no covered calls. So it's going to gain all of that money on its way back up, opposed to what's happening with the BTCY. So going back to what you're saying is, it's just simple that I play it strategically. So I will use the covered call when they're moving sideways or they're moving slightly down, or if they're moving up but not really explosive. But anytime we move into anything that looks like it's going to be explosive, I then will usually sell out, move into something that's like a spot, and I make the most profit that way. All right, let's see here. Paul says, waiting for face melting days like earlier in November for MicroStrategy. Whoops, there we go. Yeah, I think MicroStrategy hasn't finished yet. So it's going to be very interesting. I can't wait to watch December. I think this is going to be a really big month. Big 50 says, got it. Thank you for the detailed explanation. I've been using the drip on all the purpose as well. The 0.06 cents per month share reinvested versus the loss increase. Your explanation helped. Yeah, dripping is great. That's with a lot of these covered call ETFs. Like when you compare them to a non-covered call, a lot of times the non-covered call wins on total return. But when you reinvest all of the covered call dividends that you're getting, the higher dividends, it puts you on a much more level playing field. So yeah, that's not a bad way to go at all. So definitely love that. Definitely love that. All right, guys. Yeah, this has been another fantastic show. I can't wait. We're going to have a lot of fun this week, so you will see me every day, of course. We will be back on Wednesday for the market close. That's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of fantastic time. We'll get a good idea of what the market is starting to do in this week. Yeah, we got some great videos planned, and on the 13th, we got that MicroStrategy video. Oh, I'm excited. I'm actually very excited about that one. So I think this is going to be a fantastic week. We're going to have a great month. Let's knock it out of the park this week, this month, guys. We'll just do whatever we can, but I'm looking forward to it. I am looking forward to it. All right, guys. We'll end here on Prairie with have a great week, everyone. Thank you for another great stream, Candace. You're welcome. You're welcome. I can't wait. We'll be back here again very, very soon. Until then, everybody. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I can't leave if I'm little me. Here we go. We'll go back. We'll go back to the this week, me and the astronaut beaver. Actually, you know what? Let's not go to the astronaut beaver. Because you know what? You know what you guys want to see. Whoops, sorry. Go away, you. Go away, you. Go away, you. This is what you guys want to see. So me and President Beaver wish you all a fantastic week. We'll see you again really soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.